What's up, everybody? Welcome to Literature Leadership. This is a YouTube channel where essentially I just go over literature. Sometimes it's leadership books, sometimes it's just other books. I am Tajin Spencer. My alias is Taj the Poet. I'm both a mentor, leadership coach, and artist. So I write poetry and music, hence Taj the Poet. But my heart is also for developing the next generation. I've got a huge heart for leadership philosophies, leadership models. I'm a sucker for those things, right? Those are my favorite. So kind of just to start, the first book that I was kind of thinking about, the first book I wanted to start with, and I was like, well, I might as well just kind of start where my journey started. So the book I'm gonna talk about is Becoming the Next Generation. It's kind of weird, it's not really in the camera, but this is by Jonathan Catherman. The special thing about this book is that the author, Jonathan, is my mentor. He's mentored me for about 4 to 5 years now. I don't remember. I mean, from when I was 19 years old. I'm about to be 25. Essentially, I was at my university and I was like, dang, I want to be a writer and poet and be able to talk and teach leadership. How do I do that and make money? How do I make a career off of that? So I asked for a mentor, and the Taylor Leadership Institute paired me up with Jonathan, and I'm just so thankful for him. He's made a huge impact into my life. And yeah, this is his book. One of his books. He does a lot of work for youth and moving them up into middle school, equipping parents and also students to become leaders, or equip parents to help raise their children. So he has a lot of resources and tools. My goal with this video is to run through this book, go over the main ideas, different things that kind of stood out, and maybe some leadership tips that I've taken from this that maybe can help you guys in y'all's leadership journey, whether y'all are my age or older or youth. So yeah, let's kind of get into it. So the book kind of starts off with the old generation and new generation, right? There's kind of this dichotomy of, all right, we've got the older people who know how to do things. They're kind of stuck in their ways. They want, they're used to a certain type of leadership. They're used to a certain type of style, a certain type of response from people. And you have the new class, the new generation, the new kids who kind of come up in a weird way. And it's always, back in my day. And it's always the younger people looking up to the older ones are like, bro, that's old school. We don't do that stuff anymore, right? So there's always been a gap between the younger generation and the older generation. And the question that it starts off with is hey, how do we close this gap between these generations? What do we need to do to close the gap? And Jonathan kind of gets into something called Moore's Law. Not really gonna get into what Moore's Law is, but I will tell about the idea. The idea is that the normal of two groups, if you think of a bell curve, right? A bell curve. The normal of two groups are far in between, right? The normal for, let's say 2000, that's when I was born, up here. Once you get all the way down to 2020, it's a whole new different normal, a different way of life, different way of thinking, right? I think about myself I was born when internet came out, right? Cool. I remember the home cordless phones. I remember the track phones, the flip phones. My first phone was a freaking track phone. I had to type 333-2211. Literally, that's how far back I remember, right? Whereas now, kids who was younger than me, elementary school, bro, they got smartphones. They're on TikTok, Instagram, going crazy, right? I did not have that. But that development, the normal, is different for both of us. So for me, it's gonna be really difficult to come to a younger kid and be like, man, I remember I used to have to turn the cassette tape back so I could watch Shrek. They're gonna be like, what's a cassette tape, right? So trying to bridge the gap between these two generations, right? It's virtually impossible. There's always going to be a gap. The normal is always going to change. I remember the first iPod, the iPhone, that Gorilla back. Now we have iPhone 18, literally. So the difference is always going to be changing. But in that, closing that gap is going to be virtually impossible. But that's not the right question. The right question, the wrong question is, how do we close the gap? The right question is, how do we bridge the gap, right? And when you think about bridges, you have a lake or whatever, a river, you think of one side and the other. The best thing about bridges is that you start where you are. So you have the young generation and the old generation. You got to start from where you are and fight to meet in the middle, work to meet in the middle, build supports to meet in the middle. When I get to work with the youth, I'm not too far off in age for most of them, at least the high schoolers. Middle schoolers and elementary schoolers, man, It's a different world out there. But when I build relationships with them, when I'm speaking to them, I'm talking to them, or I'm trying to advise them on something, it's really easy for me to kind of dive into my own world. Like, yeah, when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. When I did this, blah, blah, blah. And all they hear is just the older dude yapping, right? It's not personal to them. They don't really relate with that. But what's more intentional, what's more relatable is me asking them, like, okay, how did you guys come up? Like, what are some ways that y'all have fun? What do you do, right? For them, it's, oh, I hop on Roblox and I play with my friends, or, oh, I'm on Minecraft, or, hey, I like to play Fortnite and I do X, Y, and Z on Fortnite. I want my V-Bucks, all those things, right? That wasn't really me. I was outside playing football, or, you know, playing dodgeball with the acorns, right? Me telling a story about that to them is probably not gonna really resonate. So it's beauty in starting or asking about, hey, like, how do you see things? What's your perspective? Where are you coming from? And then once I acknowledge, okay, this is where they're coming from, then I might be able to think about different tools or ideas that can start to build that support system for us to meet in the middle, right? For us to come together. So that's a really great idea that it starts off with. So the second largest idea is the idea of practicing stewardship before leadership. And oh my goodness, Jonathan, like, drilled my brain with stewardship, right? The thing I was always taught, and what he also talks about in the book, is that, you know, the old way of thinking is like, you have your leaders and then you have your followers. That's it. Like, you're either a leader or you're a follower. That's what I was told. My mom's like, oh, you're not a follower, you're a leader. Nah. And I took that to heart. Like, I was super anal with, okay, I'm just gonna be a leader. Everybody in my family, I'm from South Florida, everybody in my family doesn't mind the heat. So I'm not gonna be no follower. Like, I'm a leader. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pick my own team. So I picked the Chicago Bulls because, like, I'm not a follower, right? Or if I'm walking in school and everybody's going through the left door, I'm gonna go through the right door. Well, I got to go through the left door, right? And those are very menial and small, but that's kind of where my brain, and I can imagine a lot of our brains, go when we think about being a leader or a follower, right? And he fights that, right? He offers us, okay, instead of leaders on top, followers on the bottom, we have membership, then stewardship, then leadership at the top, if you think of it as a pyramid. We're gonna kind of get into that, right? Because this is a really key idea. I actually teach this to the boys all the time, right? Because if you want to be a leader, you gotta know where you are, start from where you are, right? And a lot of that is membership, right? You have your natural membership and your chosen membership. Your natural membership is like the family you've been born into. I'm a Spencer, there's nothing I can do about that. I was born into that, right? I have brothers and sisters, that's my membership, that's my family. Another natural membership, I am an American citizen. I was born in Florida, I was born in the United States of America. That's something I did not choose, right? But then I do have my chosen memberships, like I chose to be on the football team, chose to be on the basketball team, right? I chose to have a friend group that I have. I chose to go to the university and be a membership. Well, for us, we go to the gym. We become members of the gym, right? Every single membership that we have comes with some sort of expectation. When you are a member of a gym, you have to pay dues. If you don't pay dues, you will not become a member anymore. You'll be kicked to the side, right? Or you'll be charged. If you're a member of the football team or a member of a school, you have to show up to the engagements that are required. If not, then you won't be a member anymore. So understanding where you are a member of is a really great place to start when you start thinking about stewardship before leadership, right? You gotta know what you are responsible for, what you are called to do, where you are called at as a member. Second thing is stewardship. This is where things start to get awesome, right? This is where you start to grow and develop more as leaders through the leadership part. So, the stewardship part. So the definition that he has of stewardship is the responsible management, supervision, and protection of what has been entrusted into one's care. So responsible management, supervision, protection of what has been entrusted into one's care. If you're entrusted with something, you're probably a member of something, right? But you got to be responsible. You have to learn how to manage. You have to supervise it. You have to take care of it. You have to protect it, right? So it might not just be, oh, I have a role or a job in something and it's my job to protect it. But like if you are a member of school, you attend a college, university, or middle school, high school, you have to steward your classes. You have to steward the relationship with your teachers. You have to steward your homework. If you're not turning them in on time, but you're going to class, you're gonna fail. If you're not going to class, but you're turning in your homework, you're gonna fail, right? There's so many things that you have to make sure that you are taking care of so that you can continue to pass and succeed in school. And that's the same thing when we're at work. If I don't make the phone calls, talk to moms, recruit boys, talk to schools, if I forget to talk to the principals at each school that we at, we won't have a program that year, right? And then I'm gonna lose my position of leadership. I'm gonna lose my job of leadership because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supervising and managing the things that I'm supposed to be doing well, right? So stewardship has like a certain type of pride that comes with it because your name's tied to it, right? And you wanna do the best that you can with the thing that you have, right? So that's stewardship. So just kind of like thinking of where you are as a leader. Maybe you might not have thought about stewardship before, but what are some things that are small things, right? You're a member of a household. If you're in the house, like I have my wife here, she literally just like cleaned all the dishes, straightened up the room, did the laundry, and I was just like sitting here on the couch like sick. And then now I'm not as sick. I feel okay, a little bit better now, so I'm recording. But like, how can I steward the house that I live in? Right? How can I steward, okay, we have a family dynamic. How can I be a good steward for that? Hey, next time, she's cleaning dishes, let me make sure I clean the bathroom. Or, hey, she's doing the laundry, let me go make sure I change a load to help out, right? Stewardship can start just right there. That is a part of being a leader, right? And the third thing with leadership, which is on that top, right? We all think about leadership as a position. It's not, oh, I'm a member, and then I just become a good steward in my membership, and then I'm gonna get the position of a leader. No, that's not the case. It's through your stewardship that you embody a leader, right? You are already a leader. Why? Because you chose leadership through your stewardship, okay? So it's not all the people who have to have the titles, right? There's so many bosses that I hear people talk about that are just so incompetent. They're not caring. They don't know how to cast vision. They don't know how to manage. They're not really fit for the job as a leader, right? But they have the leadership title, right? It has nothing to do with the position that you have. Leadership is a choice. And again, you choose that choice through stewardship. So that's a really, really great part in this book, and it's really helped me embody what it means to be a leader wherever I'm at, which is why anytime I've gone to a different role or a different job, I've been able to move up because I focused on, okay, what is my membership? What am I responsible for? And then how do I do this to the best of my ability? How do I protect this? How do I manage this? How do I care for this thing so that I can choose to be a leader in wherever I'm at, wherever I'm called to do? So be thinking about that. It's a really cool idea. So he talks about turning your raw talents into valued strengths. All right. So first thing is that he argues that raw talents have been misrepresented. Right? Talents have been misrepresented, and the reason why is because he thinks that we have confused our strengths and our talents. Right? And the difference is every single person in this world has a talent. Every single one of you guys are talented. But not every single person in this world has a strength. All right? So here's the difference in at least what I've learned with this idea, with this argument, right? You ask me what I'm talented in when I'm in high school and I'm on the football team. Yeah, I'm a talented receiver. I'm a talented DB. I'm a talented writer, right? Those things are really my strengths, not my talents. The talent that I had that allowed me to be a good receiver or a good DB was I had good hand-eye coordination. I have good coordination in my feet. And with those hand-eye coordination in my feet, I had good IQ, football IQ, right? So with those things, I had to practice, train, which we'll kind of get into. And then that allowed me to walk into a strength of being a good wide receiver, because then I got my footwork down. Or as a DB, I got my footwork down. I'm using my hand-eye coordination to track the ball, catch the ball, right? But it was from those individual talents that allowed me to grow into the strength. Me being a receiver or a good receiver or a good DB was not the talent. It was the small things, right? So if you're thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm talented in, you're probably thinking too big, because you're thinking about strengths, or you're thinking about things that have already been reformed, right? It's not the case. When I get to talk to kids and we're writing down goals, right? If I write down your talents, not gonna talk about it. Like, fellas, don't write talented, like I'm a good football player, I'm a good basketball player. Don't write that. That's not a talent, right? Write down the things that are necessary for you to even like be in that realm, right? Because if you're not coordinated at all, you're not gonna be a good basketball player until you train those talents, until you get more talented in that hand-eye coordination, the footwork, or whatever the case may be, the IQ, right? If you don't have that, you can't develop that strength. One of the things that I like that he says here is that your talent gets you recognized, but your strengths make you renowned, right? The talents, it's like, okay, he's got something there. But when you have the strength, that sets you apart, right? So kind of taking that talent and turning it into a strength takes these 4 things, and he makes it very simple. You have the talent, then you have the training, you have the timing, and then you have the treasure. It's very simple. Talent, obviously, critical thinking is a talent, right? I have great critical thinking skills. Then you got to move on to the training, okay? Training is basically the commitment to developing skills from the talent. So critical thinking could go towards a plethora of things. Critical thinking can go towards analysis as an accountant. It can go to solving puzzles as a chess master. It can go to being a doctor or a nurse and serving someone in the medical field for diagnosing what's wrong with them, right? Critical thinking can go so far. Critical thinking is what I had to use when I was freaking at school. Oh, what's the motif throughout all of these books? Blah, blah, blah. I had to critically think, like, what the heck are they talking about? Like, what is going on, right? And write the essay about it. But it's being committed to training those skills, right? Gotta be committed to training. The third thing is that timing, right? Timing is practice. So you develop the skill, but not only do you develop the skill, you have to continue to practice the skill now. Okay, cool. I have critical thinking skills. Cool, I have a knack for, I learned how to play the game of chess, right? I learned the rules, but now I have to practice doing it. I have to practice using my critical thinking, practice chess, and continue to practice playing against other people, finding out what are the best lines, what are the best openings, how do I defend, what's good, what's bad trades. I have to continuously practice in order to become strong in chess via my critical thinking. And then the last thing is treasures, right? So treasures are going to be your relationships, and then more importantly, ding, 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 your stewardship, right? I have to steward these things. I have to take care of the finances that might go towards it. Maybe I might want to be a part of a chess club, right? The relationships I build. If I want to be a chess player and I want to be a chess master one day or a grandmaster, why would I be trying to build relationships with people who probably don't have those aspirations or don't know those things? Not to say you just excommunicate everybody who has a different desire than you, but what I'm saying is you need to commit to find people who do the things that you want to be good at, who do it great, who do it well, right? That's how we can master the time, because you never know when there'll be an opportunity. They're probably gonna be the ones who know about the chess tournaments coming up, not the homies who are on the game playing X, Y, and Z, right? So always think about the relationships that you're building and the stewardship, right? The stewardship of how many times you're gonna practice, who you're talking to, who you're connected with, who you're asking questions from, who you're getting mentored by, and then continuously practicing these new skills. That is where that treasure is going to come from, right? Making sure that you do what is necessary for you to be in and take advantage of these opportunities, right? So that's always a great thing. Talent, training, timing, and treasure, right? Those were the 4 ideas that he had for turning the raw talents that we have, everyone has that talent, to the skill, the thing that sets us apart. So the last thing that he talks about, which is a really cool idea, is your vision, mission, and goals, right? This is something that I get to teach all the time when I'm talking to the high schoolers and middle schoolers. This is something that I practice myself, right? So the vision essentially is exactly that. It's your vision. It's what you see. It's where do you want to go, right? You want to make it very clear and specific. Make it clear and specific, right? If you think about your vacation, you could think very specifically, like, man, the ocean, the way it sounds, the color of the water, how hot it is, the way the atmosphere looks, the sound of the animals and birds flapping, and like you can feel it's very, 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 very specific, right? You want to be specific. Your mission, the mission defines your why. Why do you want to do what you want to do? So you see where you want to go, also, but why do you want to go there? What is the driving force? What's the heart posture behind what you want to do? Then you have your goals. The goals are your how you plan on getting where you want to go. So your vision is your what you see is your where, the mission is your why, and then your goals are your how, right? Implementing these three things as leaders is going to be pivotal to us becoming very clear, focused, driven leaders, right? So for me, my vision is to help people see their potential and then give them the tools to reach it. And I want to do that by making videos, writing poetry, making music, and traveling and speaking and teaching, like what I get to do now, right? At my organization. And then my mission, why I want to do what I want to do. Well, I value being a wise person. I value being reliable. And I value being patient. That's the type of man that I want to be. I want to be reliable, patient, and wise. So my mission statement is to inspire humans through writing and servant leadership while being reliable, patient, and wise. It's very clear, right? That's who I want to be. That's what I deem as a successful life. And that's how I want to reach my full potential, by writing and becoming a servant leader. And through my writing, like I said, poetry, music, things like that, speaking, making videos, that's how I get to do that. And then my goals. I have to actually hit record on this camera and turn on this light that's making me half blind, right? I have to do that. That's a part of me getting to where I want to go, right? Because that's kind of where we usually stop. I mean, I talk to so many people and it's like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that and I'm trying to do this, and it's a whole bunch of trying and nothing get done. Even for me, man, I've been trying to put out music for the last 3 years. I got one song out, still not getting done. There's a whole bunch of reasons as to why that is, but a lot of it's just because I wasn't working towards my goals the way I should have, point blank period, right? So things like that is what's going to propel us forward as leaders and make us more trustworthy, make people take us seriously, give us the self-efficacy so that we can take ourselves seriously when we say, hey, I want to do these things, I want to make sure it gets done. But it also inspires the people around us as well, right? When people get to see Coach Taj or whoever you are watching this video and they're like, man, they said that they wanted to do this thing and they're actually doing it, wow, I can do that too. All right, so having a vision, mission, and goals is super, super critical to us becoming that next generation. The ideas in this book it's a really fun read, like I said. I mean, there's some bias there because this is my mentor. And I wasn't really even planning on going through this book, but I just figured why not start with where I started. So if y'all want this book, I can find it on Amazon. I don't know how much it is, but yeah, look this up. It's really awesome. You'd be surprised what you can take from it. It also has like worksheets and booklets and stuff that you can take. Sorry, it's kind of like unclear. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed.